I didn't really record that.
Okay, it's 6:59. Christy, are you going to let people in? Welcome, everyone. My name is Ellen Saakashvili, and it is my privilege to work with Atlas Network, which means working with some of the most dedicated champions of freedom from around the world. During today's discussion, we will talk about women's business in Europe. Atlas Network's partners have always been at the forefront of expanding women's rights and advocating for more economic opportunities. Studies have shown that gender inequality around the world has fallen significantly in the past half century. However, despite the progress, most of the world still has much to improve. We have learned that no economy can grow to its full potential unless both women and men participate fully. As half of the world's population, women have an equal role in driving economic growth. Today, we have three extraordinary speakers who will talk about the business climate for women in their countries. It is their hour to tell us what they have observed in the countries they cover and what we, as the Liberty Movement, need to be doing for improving the business environment for women. At the end of the panel, we will open it up to the audience and take questions. If you have any, feel free to post them in the chat box. And now, please join me in welcoming Olena Yegorova, representing Ukrainian Economic Freedoms Foundation, Pinar Santurk from Liberfay Turkey, and Beta Dulgerova from Friedrich Neumann Foundation for Freedom in Bulgaria. Ladies, welcome. The virtual floor is all yours. Olena, my first question goes to you. Can you tell us how the business climate for women in Ukraine is and what are the biggest challenges?
Hi, Alan. First of all, thank you very much for introducing me. I'm very pleased to be a part of this panel discussion that features amazing speakers like Pieta and Pinar and brings very important issues of women's economic freedoms in Europe. First of all, I would like to start from the general obstacles that women are facing in Ukraine while doing business. Even though it's important to mention that Ukraine is relatively free for women in terms of individual freedoms or making any economic activities, like comparing to other countries where women cannot own the property or they cannot open their business and operate it, women in Ukraine can do that. But still, there is a huge room for growth here and for many improvements to be done. Recently, I've been passing the Women in Business report and found very interesting fact how geographically women are split in terms of their positions in companies, in taking leading positions in the companies. And it shows that emerging economies like Eastern Europe or Africa are among the leaders and they lead the way because, for example, in Eastern Europe, the share of women who are taking leading positions in the company is 36%. While in Western Europe, it's 27%. At the same time, when we talk about at least one woman that involved in management positions in Eastern Europe is 87% and in Western Europe is 73%. If we talk about Ukrainian context here, 6% of Ukrainian women are operating large-scale businesses, and among 100 richest people in Ukraine, only 3 are women. So this is like pretty low percent that needs to be done, to be improved. Also, if we talk about small and medium enterprises, we have only 28% of women entrepreneurs that are operating their business in Ukraine. And the stumbling block to start their own business is basically the lack of knowledge, lack of proper education on how to establish company, how to register that, how to make a strategic planning for your business, how to do marketing, and where to find the financial resources for this. 28%, this is not very low, because I know, for example, in Georgia, Ellen, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 8%, I guess, or 7%.
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah, so it's 28% in Ukraine. This is pretty good, but still, I would like to see much bigger numbers here.
Elena, you're absolutely correct. Compared to other post-Soviet countries, Ukraine is definitely leading in women's freedom of economic opportunities, but there is always space for improvement. Can you tell us more what you have been doing to achieve better results?
Yeah. So first of all, we still have some progress that has been made during the past couple of years. For example, Ukrainian women can finally work in jobs that deemed to be hazardous or orders, so they can work right now just the same as men do. Also, Ukraine introduced the paternity leave for men. But still, I believe that in Ukraine, the taxation policies are more likely to affect women differently than men, since they play different roles in the society, obviously, and demonstrate different consumer behaviors. And unfortunately, the incidence of taxation of women, government failing to generate truly effective tax policies to improve women's lives, they are to bring them fair treatment and more freedoms. So the initiative that me and my colleagues from the Ukrainian Economic Freedoms Foundation, we are working on together to raise the issue of unfair and taxation that affects women in Ukraine. And our aim here is to bring more fair taxation first. So our first project is eliminating the 20% VAT tax on female hygiene products, because currently in Ukraine, female hygiene products are taxed on the same level as any other goods. However, we have the least of medical goods, and these medical supplies are taxed on 7% VAT. So our goal here is to eliminate at all this 20% VAT, or at least decrease that to the level of 7%. We have been working on this initiative only for half a year, but we already have some progress here, because we already had lots of meetings with the members of parliament who support our idea, and they are ready to push this issue forward to get more boost among the society, among the member of parliaments to make this initiative to be implemented. We also have started drafting the amendments to certain legislative acts in Ukraine to change this current state of affairs. We also are in negotiations with companies who are producing and distributing female hygiene products to get their support in this issue, to help us to boost the media coverage and to launch the full-fledged media campaign. So,
Elena, let me ask you a follow-up question. Can you please elaborate on how lowering taxes on female product empower women to join business fields?
Yeah, so first of all, this is the matter of taxation. It's always good to know like how many taxes and for what you're paying. So this initiative brings a wider issue of how actually taxation works in Ukraine, how many taxes businesses paying, and if women are operating businesses, like how many and where they would like to pay. So this is also the question of inadequate education that people have in Ukraine. And also another question that we see here is that the above mentioned 28% of small and medium entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs in Ukraine, they are more tend to be in urban big cities rather than rural areas. So our other project is aimed to bring up the question of helping women who are based in rural areas, in remote villages in Ukraine, not to be afraid to open their businesses. So we'll be organizing educational seminars for them, and that will be involved with speakers, mentors from different organizations and different companies who are operating.
Thank you, Elena. I know Pinara had a story to share about women's hygiene products in Turkey during the pandemic.
Yeah, thank you, Ellen, for having me here. The story is that government decided to ban purchasing non-essential products during lockdowns, and they classified female hygiene products as non-essential. So for a while, for us women in Turkey, buying female hygiene products was banned. And this is only a small example of government's insensitive policies against women.
Pinar, Olena mentioned that Ukraine is relatively free in personal rights for women and economic opportunities. Can you tell us more how culture affects women in business in Turkey?
Sure, yes. So legally, we do not have many obstacles anymore, yet we, until 10 years ago, for conservative women, it was forbidden to wear headscarves in educational institutions or government institutions if they want to work or get education. Yet, through time, we realized the unnecessary government interventions, how unnecessary government intervention affects badly the society. So we get rid of those discriminatory rules. Yet we still have so many cultural barriers in front of especially women from conservative backgrounds. Since those women are mostly young women, they are dependent on their families financially, and their family uses those financial power to enforce their values on them. And they decide where they're going to work or how they're going to work, or even if they are going to work or get education. So as the BERFE, we established a website called Yalnız Yürümeyeceksin, meaning that you won't walk alone. So women who are forced to wear headscarves by their families write their story for us to publish. What we see in those stories are that a significant portion of women in Turkey are facing economic violence, meaning that they're kept from getting education or work and so on. So to solve this issue, we built a network where we communicate to all of those women and inform them about their solutions they can get to those problems. We inform them about women's shelters, their legal rights, and for those who want to continue their education but their family don't allow them, we try to provide financial aid. Of course, our sources are limited, but we are operating with a bit support from all around the world, and Atlas Network is part of those support, so we are very grateful for that. Yet we need more sources also, since we are constantly receiving death threats, or our work is discredited by government-supported media by claiming that we are trying to attack conservative values. Yet our only aim is for all women to choose for themselves and to be able to join the labor force or build businesses or do whatever they want financially.
It's impressive what you do, and we certainly wish you best of luck, and you need to stay strong to continue what you're doing. Accessing capital is essential to start a business. Do women face gender-related roadblocks while getting a bank loan, or they can't rely at financial institutions at all?
Well, legally, they don't get any trouble while trying to get bank loans, but they're unable to find the courage to open up or initiate a business because they're always dependent on their families or husbands, and they are taught that they should be. So they rarely find the courage to start something by themselves. So I think that's the main problem. Also, when they try to start or initiate a business, everyone they have to work with, almost everyone, is men. And men tend to, especially in the small villages or small towns, men tend to not get women so seriously. So they have great cultural barriers to initiate a business.
Thank you, Pinar. I will now turn to Petya, who is in Bulgaria currently. Petya, it is clear that in Turkey, culture makes it more difficult for women to succeed in business. What role does culture play in Bulgaria?
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you very much to Atlas Network and to Institute of Market Economics and precisely Svetla Kostadinova for inviting me to speak here. I work for the Friedrich Naumann Foundation, and it is a German political foundation affiliated to the Free Democrats in Germany. And our main work is promoting liberal values in Germany and in 60 countries worldwide, where we have a representation. And part of the international work of the Naumann Foundation is our work in Bulgaria. And for more than 30 years, we work with NGOs, with political parties, with journalists, with activists, with think tanks, with do tanks, with association of different representations, with startups, with liberal thinking people. And this is the context why I'm here. Bulgaria doesn't face obstacles that Pinar mentioned. We don't have this religious obstacles, but having a common border with Turkey and being part of USSR like Ukraine.
We're all neighbors here.
Yes.
Friendly neighbors.
Yes. We have certain things in common. We faced extremely long transformation period, but during the communist times and after that, women worked together with men in Bulgaria. And after the breakdown of communism, we just needed money. So for one for one normal family, it was needed that men and women work. It wasn't possible otherwise. And we're enjoying flat tax in Bulgaria. So there are many economic freedoms gave us to do business. We at the Nauman Foundation have different projects for women empowerment and supporting women. And one of them is developing visuals with strong messages. That's the reason why I'm dressed like that. It was with partners, because Nauman is not a donor organization. We work with partners, and with our partners, we conceptualize our projects. So in this project, we develop different strong visuals with stronger messaging, and that's why I'm dressed like that. But coming back to women in business and women in politics, if we have time. In Bulgaria, I checked the latest statistics from March this year, and we had parliamentary elections in April. So the topic of women in business and women in politics was very actual. So 60% of Bulgarians think that more women should be on the managerial positions. And also 59% doesn't agree business is only for men. 37% but agree that it is natural that managerial positions should be taken only by men. The positive tendency is shown by the younger generation, where equality is more is coming, which is actually wonderful. Is that 70% of young people, young Bulgarians between 18 and 29 years, think that business isn't only for men. So the stereotypes where women should be only at home and be only mother, or they couldn't accept a female boss, are obsolete, and for them is absolutely okay.
Betja, 30 years have passed since the collapse of Soviet Union. Bulgaria is now a member of European Union, and all of us here envy you, for sure. But can you tell us how EU membership has affected or improved women's conditions in business?
We are a member of European Union since 2007, and people enjoy economic freedom, and having a long tradition of having women on a managerial position or leadership positions continue, and there are many women on the leading positions, even on a Europe level, having a leading position in Bulgaria and then moving to a headquarter of big companies they are working. So this is really a positive tendency. And at the same time, as I mentioned, we work with partners, and another partner we work with is Forbes magazine Bulgaria. Mm-hmm. And a few years ago, we organized a conference, Forbes Women's Society, where we invited strong women on the leading positions to talk about how to overcome the obstacles of personal success, or how women should make a high jump on their personal success, because success has a different dimensions. Even success could be balancing between family and job or business. And it's an interesting result. The answer of participants, and they were basically women, we clustered them in 5 groups. And on first place, women expressed the necessity of reforming educational system. Because in our educational system, professional orientation of the students is not very popular. And this could help them to be more courageous, to start their own business, or to understand their roles, or to have bigger dreams. We have still very conservative educational system, where students just repeat what they read in the textbooks, and developing values of tolerance, of braveness, of entrepreneurial spirit. It's okay to try, it's okay to fail. You can learn from your failures, just don't give up. It's lacking in our education system. So those facets are really important. And on the next step, also collaboration between schools and CEOs and companies, where students can go to a company and got an idea what's happened there, what is to have a business. Or on the other hand, having a CEO or CFO talking about their jobs, what means to be a CEO of a small or medium-sized company or a big company, and developing role models for young women or girls could be a very strong asset, or a really efficient tool to inspire them to become entrepreneurs. Furthermore, another obstacles women saw, the second one, was the change of the mentality. And this means that you can't change the reality that fast we wish. But when you're stuck in one difficult situation, would be good to have a mentor to ask for, not to ask your best girlfriend to talk about, but just to have a mentor, another businesswoman, to talk about, to exchange, and to develop or to figure out what is the solution. Not all the time men could give the best advice, and through that developing own network. The third obstacles for personal success, women seeing the motivation, and this comes also from the role models. If you think that some people are born leaders and you don't believe that you can become one, it's one side of the story. But on the other hand, seeing successful stories and being inspired of them could be very fruitful to have more women in business, and embracing the change, because change is the only one thing we are absolutely sure that this is sure in our lives. On the fourth place, men should be also engaged in all this process of women personal success, because balancing with the family, or expressing our own dreams, what you want to succeed in your life, is really important to be successful. Without having men on board is not possible. Mm-hmm. And on the last place, what women see as an obstacle was the enviousness. Often women compete with the other women and not support them enough, not giving them younger women a chance to do the next step, to open the door and to have a place at the table. Often women do not tolerate women for who they think they're more beautiful or more smart, and all these stereotypes that beautiful women cannot be smart, and so on. Those things need to be said, and need to be to think about, or to be aware of them, and to give more space for educational programs and for opportunities.
Petya, thank you. I definitely agree with you. Women's economic empowerment is central to realizing women's rights and gender equality. Economically stronger women lead to stronger societies. And I guess my next question goes to all of you. It is clear that lack of women's confidence is the common denominator behind all of the obstacles that Petya just listed. How do we empower women and make them more confident?
If you allow me to continue, Ellen.
Please.
I have the privilege to work for the organization which do things I identify with themselves. For me personally, I'm coming from a very patriarchal family. And my role models, I identify them through different scholarships in Germany and in the US. So for me became a kind of a personal responsibility. So I can't give back my gratitude to those organizations, but I can lift younger women around me and mentor them and just tell them that nothing is impossible. And I know how difficult this transformation is. And another thing is having endless seminars and going even in the country, because capitals are not representing the whole country. And I think the statistics of all of us show that the vibrance in one big city is completely different with the province, and working with women in small cities is extremely important.
Pinar or Elena, do you have anything to add to Petya's points?
Yeah,
I can. Oh, sure.
Pinar, go ahead.
Okay. So I can add this. So I think it's important that to emphasize hard work rather than being smart or being a born leader, because actually I know from an experiment conducted in Turkey in small schools, when teachers start to encourage female students by saying that, oh, you work so hard on that. It's great, you should work hard, and put the emphasis on working hard and working more rather than being smart or being whatever they cannot choose. It actually gave very good results, and it increased students' success by 35%, if I don't remember wrong. So I just wanted to add Petya's point as scientific result.
If you allow me to add, working hard, but at the same time, boys' results and girls' results are praised in a different way. Because if you have a boy with a middle mark or achievement in the school, at least in my cultural context, will be, oh, you are great. But if you are a girl, you will hear, you could do it even better. Try harder. And talking about mentality and cultural differences is also a question how we educate and how we teach our children.
I can definitely relate to that a bit coming from Georgia. Olena, do you want to add anything before we open it up to our audience?
I guess that education here is the key, and also talking about role models, as Petya mentioned before. I guess that it's also important to show not only women, because there is like a stereotype that successful woman is a woman in business, you would operate in a successful company somewhere in a big city. But there are lots and thousands of women around Ukraine who are operating small and medium businesses, and they are successful and they are crafty and they are cool and showing success stories of those people and introducing them as role models to others. This is also a huge step, I guess, that could make the difference in the society.
Thank you, Elena. We're having technical difficulties. I don't see chat questions yet, but I wanted to ask you a question about the impact of the global pandemic. How did it affect women in your countries?
So maybe I can start with that. Actually, I wrote a paper about that. So what we found is a percentage of people who lose their jobs is higher on women, because women tend to work in service sector more than men, and the direct affected sector was service sector. Besides that, women were expected to participate in the housework more, or I think domestic violence or intimate partner violence increased very rapidly due to increased time spent home.
Thank you. Betja or Elena, do you want to comment?
I would jump on domestic violence, because this became a huge problem in Bulgaria. There were moments where every 2 weeks we got a case of murdered woman, and this is also very dramatic problem about self-esteem of women, about the borders women can't put, and also borders men can't put, to have a healthy family. It's really a huge issue. Regarding the pandemic and stepping back, sorry, I can't divide myself between, I have two lives, working with activists, but at the same time working with NGOs and also with political parties. So talking about bringing the conversation back to women in business, Bulgarian women are facing with, they said during the pandemic, they were needed to change their business model. And they were identifying the need of developing their digital skills. They needed to learn more how to operate from home, and in this respect also balancing with work and family.
Elena, how are women dealing with the consequences that pandemic left us?
Well, some businesses, mainly small and medium entrepreneurs in Ukraine, women entrepreneurs, they are working in retail. So basically, they are just going smoothly shifting from offline to online. So this is a plus. But again, there are lots of businesses operated by women, like cafes, beauty salons, hairdresser shops, that were affected by the pandemic because they were closed. And here is there's a question of access to the finances to keep them operating. So I guess that was, we cannot say just like black and white, like how this pandemic affected that. In some ways it affected good, in some ways not, but women are adjusting.
Yeah, thank you all of you. Now I will take questions from the audience. And the first question is from my fellow Georgian, Mary Eliadze. And her question is to all of you. Do you consider a gender to be a barrier across the business communities in your countries? If that's the case, what needs to be done to dismantle those barriers?
So I can start again, I guess. Yes, I think the most important thing is when a woman tries to initiate a business, there are many paperwork or things to do we don't know as normal people. And when you constantly had to deal with other men doing those things in the process, I think women are easily discouraged and gave up. But I think we should all provide a roadmap for women who are trying to initiate a business, how they can evaluate their work or success, or should they continue or not, or how should they continue, etc.
Thank you, Pinar. Petya or Olena?
I can mention that 71% of the Bulgarian society acknowledge that Bulgarian women has the capacity to be an entrepreneur or to be on a managerial position. And this is very positive. It's wonderful on paper, but at the same time in real life, till the moment a woman is acknowledged as a professional, takes really long time, especially in a man-dominated business, companies or whatever, because very often women are seen as an assistant, interpreter, and all this kind of called female jobs. So it takes time. And for me, it's important to work not only with women, but also with men. Furthermore, there is also, at least not in Bulgaria, any state initiatives to encourage young women to do business. There are no policies for that.
Thank you, Petya. We just received a wonderful question from Daniil Lubkin from Ukraine, and it's directed to all of you. Do you believe that modern feminism, fourth wave, is helpful to overcoming issues you discussed, or is it filed with leftist ideas and rather destructive?
Maybe I can start again. So I believe that it's often is destructive because what I observe that modern feminism often focuses on how women are victim of something, and the idea often suggests that we are victim and we are unsuccessful for some reason, and we have to blame that instead of solving them. So that part I find that to be destructive.
Thank you. Olena, do you want to add?
I would agree with Pinar. I would consider that rather destructive than helping in solving issues and bringing like more fair and justice, among women.
And Petya, does labeling women as feminists help us with our cause?
Honestly, I don't care if I'm feminist or not. For me, it's important to be respected and to be able to have an opportunities. And looking into the past, I think last year or 2 years ago, worldwide, we celebrated 100 years of voting rights of women. So a lot of work needs to be done so women take the place they should have. If you call it a feminist, modern feminist, or whatever, I don't care. It's just a question how we educate our children, how they grow up in a more tolerant and more equal society, embracing diversity.
Well, thank you to all of you. And I just want to give you 1 minute to each of you if there is anything you want to add or if we missed any points. Olena, please.
Yeah, so thank you very much for having me today. That was very interesting and amazing panel, and I hope that we'll keep doing what we're doing, and I wish only the success to all of us with all our projects. So I also invite you warmly next year to come to Ukraine for Liberty Forum. I hope to see all of you online, and offline, sorry. Yes. So
Fingers
yes,
crossed.
yeah, fingers crossed.
Petya and Pinar.
I'm really grateful that Atlas met us, the whole group, but also four of us, because it was a wonderful time to prepare ourselves. And Ellen, thank you very much that you were guiding us. And for me, it's important women to support each other. And this panel is evidence for that. And I want the audience to remember what Madeleine Albright said at one of G7 meetings, that there is a special place in hell for women who do not support other women. And for me, this is really, really important. I take it very, very personal. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and special thanks to our panelists for showing up and sharing their stories. I will have to end it here today, but remember, our fight is not over. Keep supporting and empowering women around you. It's in the best interest for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ellen, for having us.
Have a great day, all.